Hi, my name is Ann Gates.
Hi, my name is Ken Gates, and we've been married for 56 years.
Uh, well, let's see. We met on a blind date about 57 years ago. Well, there was no asking, and I and I like that too. He just planted one on me, in the back seat coming home on our first date, and um, and that was it. Just just with a kiss. But hold his hand while I
I,
tell you this, okay?
oh,
But I think the success of a good marriage is being considerate of one another, and that consideration goes into all facets of your marriage, and putting them first or thinking about them first is so very important. Penny?
yeah, love, trust. Trust is very important. Uh, just have faith, and love is another key word. You really got to like each other sometimes. Excuse me. You really have to like each other sometimes. There are some tough rocks. In the military, there's a term called rocks and shoals of life and marriage. But we got through it all, so we're still here. I'm still glad we like each other too, not only love each other.
Praise. Stay in prayer. That helps you get through all those rocks and shoals.
Not really, other than the fact that during our first date, we were looking for a place to go after the movie that we went to in downtown Cleveland. And Anne pointed out a local place that she said she thought was pretty nice. So we walked in, and in fact, it was the Embers, and it was a strip club. So she had not known that. She'd never been in there before. She was trying to act like she was over 21.
Mhm.
And in fact, she was 20.
Because I was almost 21, but the other three, Ken and our friends, were older than I was, and I wanted to act like a worldly person. I wanted to die when I walked in and saw that.
I think that's also the name of a restaurant.
Oh yes, this was the Red Embers. It was even
Yeah.
hotter than just
Yeah.
embers.
There's your bus.
Our wedding was wonderful. It took place in Cleveland Heights at this kind of mansion. It was lovely. The only thing wrong with it was they did not serve liquor. So my dad had his brother operating out of his trunk out in the parking lot, fixing drinks for our guests, and that was probably one of the most amusing things about about our wedding. But it was beautiful, and otherwise, I can't think of anything that that wasn't great about it.
It was elegant, very nice. My
True. Go ahead and say. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I don't have much of an opinion. I would say not true. So here we go.
Okay. Oh, we are opposites. We are opposites. If you've ever taken that Myers Briggs personality test, we are exact opposites. And although that's where a lot of the struggle comes in, I think also it makes us one complete full person. So, I think so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say that it is still to this day. If we're supposed to be someplace at 8 o'clock, Ann starts getting ready at 7 o'clock. If I'm supposed to be someplace at 8 o'clock, I start getting ready at 4 o'clock. So I'm ready and I'm waiting for an hour or 2 hours. She is last minute on things like that, and it drives me up the wall and still does. And I don't think it's going to change either. So grin and bear
Ken used to say he wished he had a penny for every
it.
minute he's had to wait for me. Okay. He said we'd be rich.
Sorry.
And as far as I'm concerned, I don't honestly remember any pet peeves to start with, but you don't have time to listen to them now, as we've developed after over 56 years. So that's that. I wouldn't say it was love at first sight, but I would say, maybe love at second sight.
That's right. Took us about 4 days for that to come to conclusion.
Mhm.
And on the 7th day, I asked her to marry me.
Well, I just glimpsed Ken a couple times because, you didn't want to make big eye contact because we had just met one another. But I just thought he was a really handsome guy. And he was 6'2", so he was nice and tall. Dressed in a suit, he looked good.
I didn't be concerned about Anne or what she was like because we had to happen to meet at her uncle's house along with 30 other relatives that I had to meet for the first time. So I wasn't too concerned about Anne. I was concerned about how am I going to get through this and get out of here. Well, because it was a blind date, we made equal moves, I guess. That was put together by our friends, and they did a great job of putting us together. Yes.
But I know what you're really asking. Ken was the first one to make the move.
Oh,
And
that
we
move.
were double dating. We were in the back seat of our friend's car. And so he kissed me on the way home from our date. And only one kiss, but it was a great one. Uh, I think probably the most, if not romantic thing, most impressive thing, most loving thing that Ken did was early on in our dating. My mother had had breast cancer surgery, and she had come home from the hospital. And Ken came over and cooked dinner for our whole family. And you know, boy, you talk about he made points with my mom and her bridge club. They loved him. And that was just such a kind, loving thing. So that really impressed me.
How pretty she was, how pretty she was, how vivacious, outgoing she was. A lot of fun to be with. Still is, most of the time.
And, as I said, Ken was tall. He was 6'2", and he was all dressed up. And he really was he still is, but he was a very handsome guy. And I really just think, I just kind of liked the way he was put together.
Yes, I think I actually can't say there was a moment, but as I said, we had gone on a date on a Saturday. The next Wednesday, I picked her up. We went to the zoo, and the next Friday, we were at a backyard party for one of her mother's neighbors. And as she walked by me, and I was carrying a drink, by the way, from my new mother-in-law, I was sucking up to my new mother-in-law. I said, "Will you marry me?" And she said, "Yeah."
And
And
I don't think he asked me again. That was it.
of course, she told her mother that, and her mother said, you don't even speak about that for another 6 months.
Mhm,
So we did. We waited for a year before we got married.
mhm. I told my mom that night, and she said, "Ann, I don't want you speaking about this again for another 6 months." So we didn't.